Hello everyone, welcome to the second race of tonight, the sprint race around the Red Bull Ring. Now, late on in that feature race we had Paul and Les disconnected, but they have both been reinstated into their positions down track. There's Rob, there's Frank. Session, we will have Ben, Rob, Deathstroke, Les and Frank. So you think Ben, probably favourite to take pole, but the pace of, let's say, Benji and Dean and Rob and Doko, you never know. He could drop all the way back. He could drop out the top 5. That's if he ever wants to leave the pit lane. There seems to be some confusion about who can go out and who can't. I think we're trying to alert Ben to the fact he's the one that's allowed to qualify. Deathstroke's going to be first to start a lap. Now only 4 cars, don't think Ben's quite got it. Deathstroke comes now into turn 3. Had a very good recovery drive from that feature race. Almost got robbed due to what seemed to either be a track limit warning or a mistake from Rob, but it's just starting to get dark around this Red Bull Ring. Drivers now require lights on and to actually see the track. Ben finally rolls out the pit lane. So we'll see what sort of lap can be done. Les's outlap was counted, it's a 1:59. I don't think that's going to get him far, but it'll at least get him 5th. Deathstroke may be inspired by seeing what Benji could do in the car. See what sort of time he can do. He'll be the first to cross the line. Let's say 1:29.8. It's a solid lap. What can Rob reply with? A 29.7. What about Frank? .33.3. Les will be next to set a lap. He's coming down towards turn 9. And it is a 1:32.2. Now it's just Ben, and I believe he's finishing his outlap. Yeah, but we'll stick with him anyway. We'll see how the qualifying attempt. As you can see, the sun is now down below the hills. There's a Deathstroke across the other end of the track. Down into Remus corner. Very nice, now can I pick up the throttle, and the car's had a bit of a squirm. That's the danger of that corner. Deathstroke has invalidated his lap. The game feels the need to tell me 4 times. Now it looks like he was down at turn 9 or 10. Ben going very, very quick into turn 4. but he seems to have made it stop. Pulls it round turn 5. What sort of line does he take through turn 6? As it's very subjective. He keeps it tight most of the way round. Some like to cut out wide and straighten the corner up. Turn 7, again very tight, flat out through turn 8. Now where will this put Ben once he's negotiated Rent Corner and Red Bull Mobile Corner? You would say he is the favourite for pole. And it looks like he's been on a good lap. He had a small hiccup at turn 3. That was nothing too big. It's a 130.4, only P3. There's definitely more in it than that for Ben. Rob and Frank are together. About Deathstroke, is he on an outlap? I think he is. Rob will stick with him just in case he's not. It's hard to tell sometimes. Rob's been in the wall somewhere, as he's got a bit of a squashed front end. That's definitely not a proper lap. What about Frank? He looks like he's maybe on an outlap. He's got a fair bit of fuel. But we'll just see if he gets a time when he crosses the line. And seeing as everybody seems to be on outlaps, we'll cut back to Ben, see if he can improve on P3 that you think he would really be able to jump up from. What about Frank? Yes, 4/10 improvement. He was on a lap. He's now only 3/10 behind Les. What about Ben? He's coming around turn 8. Negotiate turn 9 and turn 10. Will this be an improvement? He definitely needs it to be. It is 7/10. He's taken pole by 7/100ths of a second. He's got no more fuel. But yeah, like I thought, he has time for another run. Maybe Les is opting not to do another one. Deathstroke, what can he do? He's only 2/10 away from pole, but he's also 2/10 down. Through turn 10 we go, floors it on the exit, uses all of the rumble strip and the AstroTurf. Will he have made up those 2/10 in the last sector? No, he lost 2/10. What about Rob? No, he's invalidated that. Frank finds another half a second. And what about Rob? Will it have invalidated this lap too? The game sometimes does that. See how his car behaves out of turn 3. We saw Ben get a big twitch on there earlier. Yeah, he's gotten a bit of a twitch there too. We'll go to Deathstroke. He's going to be next set lap. I think he's got time for another lap, but I don't think he has the fuel. Very hesitant with the throttle through turn 6. The 10th up. You never know, a little more in the last sector. Maybe P2. There's a very close session between these three at the front. As he throws it into Rent. And he's gone wide. That's that lap over. He's out of time, out of fuel. There's no way a BMW is using 1.8 litres to do a lap. Not a chance. Yeah, and he's given up. What about Rob? This is his last attempt. He's gone wide. What about Frank? Can he find any time to put himself up ahead of Les? Ooh, about a 10th off. So Ben has got pole secured, but I'm sure he's going to want to put down a marker for the rest of the guy and go, look what I can do, that's what you've got to beat. 2 tenths down, so it doesn't look like he's going to improve, but nope, they've all given up on their final runs. Only Frank set a lap. Rob and Deathstroke both invalidated their times. Ben was just slower. And Les wasn't even out in the track at the end. He'd done what he'd done and he was happy with that. So we now have this 60 seconds while Project Cars doesn't know what to do when qualifying is done. So Paul will be the first of the back runners to have a go. Then you've got Robert, Doko, Dean, and your feature race winner Benji. Of course, we saw Benji qualifying for the sprint race last week, and now he's won the feature and at the back for the sprint. So how a week can change things. That was the session officially over. So Ben takes pole by 7/100ths from Rob, who's a further 10th ahead of Deathstroke. Les, 1.1 seconds off, takes P4, and he is just 1/10 ahead of Frank. And then you've got your back 5, who did not qualify. So I forgot to mention at the end of the last stream my driver of the race, and yeah, it would be between Benji and Doko, but just for sheer excitement factor I would have to give it to Doko. But of course there's chance for anyone at the back 5 to get it this time, as they will be the ones who can make up the most positions. And the lights are on for all 10 cars, lighting the way. You can see some cars with white lights, some with a yellow. We'll go with this view, looks a bit better. So, Ben and Rob, two people who know each other very well, good friends, used to be teammates on the front row together. Of course, Benji was on pole last race, didn't keep it into turn 1, so can Rob do a similar thing to Ben? Can Deathstroke with his M6 power get past them up the hill? What about Les? The relatively unknown, how's he going to go into turn 1 and up to turn 3? Of course, we saw a massive crash in season 6 caused here by Benji up into turn 3 in the sprint race, so you never know, it's possible. So hopefully we get synced any second now. As we finally do sync in. I apologise, we have that banner in the way, it's hard when it's just one, but Ben looks like he's gotten a good launch. Quite hard to see who's who with the lights, but it looks like that's Robert G making a move to the inside of a lot of people. And that's Frank and Les. And that's them both in the wall. Like I said, the unknown can always be a bit of an issue. Well, that's Robert G up into P4, Paul in 5th, Dean 6th, Benji 7th, Benji 6th, Dean 7th, Doko 8th, and then Les and Frank with their massive damage, probably having to pit. So Robert G, the big mover at the back lot in the first lap, he's up to P4, so he's... If he can make quick work of Deathstroke and Robert, or Rob Noxious, he is in with a shout of the win. And Les is off again, he's gone off at turn 8. So Frank's going to be in the pits as well, yep. So we see Robert G through turn 1. What's his slipstream going to be like on Deathstroke? Deathstroke's going to be the one going for it on Rob Noxious. He goes round the outside, he gets a bit of a squirm on. And actually, Robert G and Paul have both passed Rob there. So maybe Rob was a bit too cautious in his defending. Dean's out. We never saw what happened to him, I never caught it. Looks like Benji's going to be up next to have a go at Rob. Of course, he has the far superior M6 at this track. So that shouldn't be difficult for him to do. And meanwhile, with all this going on, Ben is already 1.6 seconds ahead. But it's just a case of how quickly can Benji, Paul and Robert G... Looks like Rob went wide there. He's either going to have to slow down or he's probably risking a penalty. And we've got Robert G and Paul. Paul's passed Robert G and put him in the pit wall near enough. And that's a brilliant move from Paul. Very aggressive, but he's made it stick. Frank's probably had the worst job in the world, having to come out and realising he's a lap down. Les clearly got off a lot better with that, as he's 22 seconds ahead. And obnoxious into the side of Robert G. Looks like he was trying to defend from Benji and just outdid himself. And Rob Noxious into the side of Robert G. So Robert's getting roughed up a little bit here. Robert G has managed to keep it though, but this is letting Paul get away, and now Paul is going to be the one challenging Deathstroke. Benji and Doko are now getting involved in this, with it only effectively being 7 cars at the front, with Les and Frank near enough a lap down. Frank is a lap down. Dean out the race, so it's really just the front 7 we need to look at. Because Benji's passed Rob, now it's Benji's turn to try and pass Robert G. And it looks like Paul is going for it on Deathstroke maybe. Down into turn 1. Deathstroke's kind of been pushed wide. That's maybe going off the track and gaining an advantage. But it looks like he's let Paul go. And this is going to let these guys have a go at him. Robert G and Benji are going to go either side of him. Robert G's already got the move done. He goes to the inside. That might hamper Benji. Benji couldn't do it. Now Paul is free to go after Ben, because he should be clear of all of this. In fact, no, he'll have Robert G behind him, so them two maybe work together or hinder each other. Well, that's Doko going very, very wide. It looks like he's just going to keep ahead of Rob. Was it Rob going very wide out into the gravel at turn 6? Could have gone a lot worse from there, but he's managed to keep it. As Benji now up the inside of Deathstroke into turn 7. What about Doko? Can Doko do anything? He's gaining, he's gaining. Not just yet. But Deathstroke, he's got off, he's come back on and tried to kill Doko and he's spun. Yep, that's your own fault, I would say. As Robert G and Paul are going at it. This is great news for Ben. You would say Robert G is the quicker of these two. Is he going to try and go for it all the way around the outside? Oh, they've tagged. Is this going to give Benji a chance? No, they've still somehow got a better run out of the corner than Benji. As Robert's going to go down the inside of Paul, Benji's thought about the outside. Maybe he's going to try and cut back, try and use the gap that Robert's made. And now, Benji is actually ahead of Paul, but Paul has the inside line for turn 6. But I think Benji has got that one. Paul's still got his nose there. Now Benji can turn in and he's completely free. So, Robert G, then Benji. Now the only advantage for Ben here is, again, much like with Paul and Robert, you've got the faster car behind another car. Of course, Robert is fast, but Benji is faster. So they're both going to want to have P2 to try and get Ben. There's Rob Noxious now in a bit of a lonely 6th place. Whether he had to slow down for something, that's Doko very wide in the background. Benji's gaining, Robert's going to defend the inside, he's going to move to the outside. He's going to try it all the way around the outside. And to his credit, he's almost done it. He's going to need to he's going to have to try and hang around the outside of turn 4 if he wants to complete it though. If he can, he'll have the inside for 6. So he's not quite got the room to cut back in yet, but I think he's now got it done. Benji should, hopefully, drive away from these lot and try and go after Ben. He's got 7 laps, 4 seconds. It's not impossible. He's 4/10 up on whatever his best lap is. You can already see, based on the time marker, how much he's got on Ben, already half a second. So over the line of 30.8 for Ben. Even with the fighting, a 30.2 for Benji, and now he's going to have a clear lap. What can he do this time? So that was 6/10. You think it should be even more this time. Oh, bit of a squirm from Benji out of turn 3, that's not going to help. Already 2.5 seconds, 2.6 seconds. Benji's going to be closing a lot on Ben, and it looks like he's got a big advantage in this last part of the lap. Another 4/10 up. He's going to be towards the mid to high 29s at this rate. And Ben is definitely going to come under attack at some point in this race from a BMW and maybe even 3 Ferraris, where the 2 strongest cars are around this track. You can see Benji's caught about 1.2 seconds on this lap. 1.4 seconds. Benji found another 2/10 in the last sector to do a 29.6. 1.4 quicker than Ben. Give it to the end of this lap. Benji will be very, very close. Robert G is still sticking on in there, but Doko and Paul, who now are very close to having a bit of a fight. And Paul's just held it for now. Of course, Doko was the faster out of him and Robert G last race, so I'm sure he knows he can do it. Doko's ducking and diving behind Paul. Benji is now at that around 1 second mark from Ben. You can see there's Ben, and there's Benji and Rob, and there's Paul and Doko, and up ahead of Ben is Les, who's going 2 seconds slower and not long off of being lapped. Of course, now that Benji is probably going to get some slipstream off of Ben, that's going to be helping him even more. It was another second quicker than Ben. I think Ben knows it's inevitable that he's probably not going to win this race. It would take one hell of a defensive effort to try and win. Of course, we saw Dean hold Benji off for a handful of laps. Could Ben do something similar? That being said, Dean is definitely a bit quicker than Ben at this event. I think Benji's going to get the fastest lap. If he could get a win, he will only be 6-7 points off of Nathan, if that. Maybe even less. As it's now 4 tenths. What about Paul and Doko? They're side by side up into turn 9. Doko's on the outside, that's the unfavoured line. Yeah, he cuts back in. Is he going to try the inside for turn 10? He's got the inside. Very respectful racing. I'm imagining they bumped doors there. And it's a drag race up towards turn 1. Doko's got the inside, but Paul's got the momentum. And Paul's kept it round the outside. Brilliant driving from these two. Benji is already attacking Ben. We've already seen Benji make moves round the outside at turn 3. Can't do it this time. Les is right there. He's getting out of the way sensibly. Last thing you want to do is block people fighting for the win. Paul still fending Doko off. Benji's back down the inside of Ben. But if Ben can just keep it there, he's got the inside for 6. And he'll have the inside for 7, but not for 8. So he needs to try and make his inside advantage count here, which he does. Benji has to duck back in. Oh, he's got a great run, but he's barged into Ben. Ben's at the brake. This is a very on the limit stuff. Ben's gonna have the inside for rent. More banging of doors there. So you're getting very feisty for the win. Ben not happy. You would say, somewhat understandably. And look who's joined the party, it's Robert G. Benji's done the switchback and Ben, he's got the inside for 4. Can Ben hold this? No, it's inevitable. Benji's done it. And now Ben's going to have to think, how long can he hold off Robert? Robert's down the inside of 7. Has to back out, but he's got the run on the exit of 7. I'll try and stick close through 9 and 10, maybe have a run up to turn 1 or turn 3. Robert has far superior straight line speed. Is he going to try something in turn 1 or just back out of it, try and make sure he gets a good exit up towards 3? He's got another pretty good exit, he's gaining on Ben. You would think it's not going to be enough though for him to try and have a go. Maybe he is. No, he's backed out of it. But, oh, Ben's had a slide. Like I said earlier, traction out of turn 3 is horrible. Looks like it caught Ben out and that's allowed Robert G to move ahead of him. Now, what about these two, Paul and Doko? We saw Doko being very timid with his moves in the feature. And you would say, if it was someone else driving that car, he may have been ahead of Paul by now. And he may have been ahead of Robert much quicker in the feature race. They're only going to have one more lap to do it after this one. So we come around to turn 9 up ahead for the 12th and penultimate time. Benji will probably set a very quick lap now that he's in free air, both of them going wide. Doko wider than Paul, and very wide again through turn 10. I think he's surely going to get a penalty for that. Benji at 30.0. Not as quick as I would have expected, but still a very solid time. Here's your race leader, 2.3 seconds. Doko again with the run. Is he going to try and be more aggressive this time, being the last lap? He cut to the outside. He's going to try it around the outside. No, switches back. Paul kind of parks on the apex, blocks Doko off. So now Paul can go into turn 6 somewhat comfortably, knowing Doko's not going to be on his inside. But rounding the final corner to take a second one of the day is Benji from the back. Robert G also from the back is going to take P2. Ben, your pole sitter, P3. Paul fends off Doko for 4th, who takes 5th. Rob is going to eventually come round the last corner to take 6th. So the driver of the race for that one, it's definitely Benji. Les takes 7th, Frank takes 8th, and that will be all for this week. Join us in a week's time when we go to Le Mans for the season ender with 4 drivers in title contention. And from me, I'll see you then.